Hello guys, my name is Khan, and in today's video we will discuss that how we can add multiple interactive filters in Tableau. So for this video I will be adding a maximum 2 interactive filters to the same plot, but you can add even more than 2 interactive filters using the same rules or using the same way that I will do in this video. But before going towards the Tableau, I will be using 2 datasets for this video. I will quickly go through these 2 datasets. First dataset will be US Census, and in the US Census it's a demographic data about the USA. We are just discussing USA, so the country remains USA, and each state each row represent a single state of USA. As you can see it here, we have about 50 states in this data. Then we have divided the data into region. Actually, we have 4 regions. And then we have some demographic variable like population, urban, death, marriage, and divorce. So this is the data that we will be using in Tableau. And the second data set that we will be using for this video will be index. So if I open this dataset 2, it's a very simple dataset. It have just 3 variable index, which is constant in this data because we are just considering insurance related index. Then we have each row representing each day, as you can see it here. Then price index is telling us the closing price of that index. So I will close it down to. So as I said, that in order to work in Tableau, this is the shortcut that I have for Tableau. In order to work in Tableau, it works in 3 steps. First, you need to import the data, and then you create your visuals, and then in the third step, you share that visuals with your audience. So my data set is in Excel, so I will just click Excel. First, I will be using US Census, and if I open it up, it's imported. I'm able to import the data successfully. So I will create my graph on the map. So let's see country. Then I will select state, and in order to make the graph a bit interesting, I will say show these marks based on the population. If the size of the marks are bigger, it's mean that the population in those states are higher. So everything looks good now. So let's see if I want to create a filter. So suppose if I want to create the filter based on the state, and if I say show filter, you can see I have states here on the right hand side, and my variable also get added here. So when you will start seeing your options here, it's mean that even your end user or your audience will also able to see this filter. That's why it's an interactive filter, and they can use the options according to their need, not just while constructing this graph, or not as a creator of this dashboard you will be able to manipulate. When you even your end user will also be able to manipulate these options to filter the data according to their need. That's why we call it interactive filter. But previously I have already shown how you can add one filter, but within this graph you can add multiple filters. Suppose if I also want to add a filter on the region variable too, so I will add, say, show filter. So now you can see I have this filter and this filter here, and as you can see that region variable is more like each region contains multiple states within it. So but suppose if I select no state, even then I am seeing all the states here. And suppose if I select only North Central, even I have selected North Central, but I am seeing all the 50 states here. You can tell Tableau that when I select my main filter like this, the main category filter, after that my second filter got updated. I don't want to see the whole states which are present in my database, because it's a bit problematic to filter further from your secondary filter. In order to do that, what you can do, you can click this down arrow button, and here you can see by default we have opted out all values in the database. If you make it as only relevant fields, and the same you can do for your second filter, go to this down arrow button, not all values in the database, only relevant values. So now you can see I have selected the North Central, and under the state I can only see those states which are in the North Central. And suppose if I select all, and then if I unselect all, you can see that I haven't selected any state, that's any region, that's why there is no state written down here. This thing is a bit more easy to use for the end user or even for you. So I will strongly recommend that you use this option, only relevant field. Another thing that I like to tell you guys, that within multiple filters you can change the layout of your filters too, just like that I have discussed in previous video. So suppose here, instead of seeing the whole list, you can say single value slider, or you can see multiple values drop down. So here you can see my states are not visible here now, but if I select this down arrow button, I can select the state whichever I want to unselect, so you can see it here. So it's a bit more easier to use a different option. Again, if you are not happy with this option, you can select as any other option. Suppose if you just want to see the only one state at a time, you can select that option, which is a radio button option. Radio button option only allow you to select only one state at a time. So here we have discussed that how you can add interactive filters in the US Census dataset, and in the same way I will give you one other example that how you can apply interactive filters, multiple interactive filters on date variable. But if you look at in my first data source, which is US Census, I don't have any date variable. So for the second example, I will be adding another database. So if I come to sheet 2, there is this cylinder button which is saying if you want to add new data source. So I will select a new data source. My data source is in Excel. I will say index, open. So this is the data set that I will be using for my sheet 2. And now the first thing I will do is I will add date here, and then I will add my price. So you can see here that this data set is showing how prices are varying on a yearly basis. Again, this is not a daily basis, this is a yearly basis. So Tableau is aggregating my visual based on a year level. So first thing is that I want to add my interactive interactive filter based on the date variable. I'll say show filter, and again, before going further, I would like to make it multiple values drop down so that it don't get much space here. And suppose I like to add second filter based on price index. So I will say down arrow, show filter, and here we can see that I have two filters added here based on date and based on price index. And if I can filter my data based on the price index, and also based, or if I just want to compare 1994, 1995, 1996, and I want to see only those data points which comes within this price index range which I have selected. So I'm just giving an example, hypothetical example, that you can even apply multiple interactive filters even on the date variable too. So overall in this video we have discussed that how you can add multiple interactive filters, and in my first example I have shown you that when you will be working on the multiple interactive filter, there is a very important option available of seeing only the relative values. It makes your life very easy, especially if you have applied a filter on a categorical variable which have a lot of category. Just like our state category, it have about 50 categories. So if you don't apply this only relative values option, you will be able to see all the 50 values, and it will be really difficult as a user to filter based on those 50. So if you have selected only relative values, it will make your life easier. So that's all about today's video. Thank you for watching the video.